Hi, I'm Peter. I'm actually from Australia. I'm originally from New Zealand. When I first started with Umbraco, I was in New Zealand. That was a very long time ago. So this is how long ago. So this is about 20 years ago. Well, this post is 19 years ago. It's basically me asking a question in a forum, which at the time was it was Yahoo Groups. And this is my first interaction, basically, or one of the first interactions with the community. So I've been around this for a really long time. So this was in regards to Umbraco 2 or 2.1, and I'm asking some pretty basic questions, but I was trying to do some interesting things. But this is when I got hooked. So this is going back a long time. So this is me at my first Codegarden. I look like a child, and that's Warren Buckley there. And this is what we all looked like at the time. You just saw Per on stage, Niels and Tim. And Codegarden was a bit ragtag, and this is like how we kind of organized the schedule, and it was all a bit basic, but it was fun. So it was just the way it used to work. And so it was like if there was a talk, usually the talks were organized at the retreat prior to Codegarden, like what are you going to talk about? So there's a bunch of stuff on there that just sort of happened organically. And, and this is how we kind of had our discussions about what we did and didn't like about CMS. So we had these big open circles. And now this is me today. I am not actually in the photo, nor was my other developer, Samir. So one of our graphic artists, sort of slotted us in here. So this is my team now. I have an agency on the Gold Coast. I did work for Umbraco for a couple of years. We were 10 staff, and now it's like crazy big. So it's come a really long way. But this is my team. So I have I work alongside my wife, who is the CEO of Codegarden Digital. We're a full-service digital agency, and our primary focus is doing really cool things with Umbraco. So we do a lot of work in the for good space with charities and government agencies, and basically anyone who is willing to jump on the Umbraco bandwagon and do some interesting stuff. So, but what I'm here to talk about today is I think is probably the next shift in terms of where things are going with development. I mean, there's all the AI stuff, and that's amazing, and soon we be out of jobs. I'm not really sure where that's going, but the thing that I've noticed though is there is a massive divide between what the designer does and then actually getting it on the internet and putting it out on a website or whatever form it is going to be out there. So let's take a little bit of a tour, and I just want to talk about the current state of CMS development. So I know this life cycle is possibly similar to everyone's. You generally go through planning phases. You go through an amazing design phase where, your graphic artists, your front-end, your designers, they will put together some amazing stuff. They'll draw some pretty pictures in Figma, and then the client's like, yeah, it's great, it's awesome. And then they sign it off, and you've got all your spec and everything, and it's all ready to go, and then you go into a dev cycle, and then you release it, and then you go into support. And it doesn't really matter which way you look at it, whether or not you're doing waterfall or agile. It's kind of, you go in cycles of planning, development, release, and then support. And there is a problem with this cycle, though. And I'm going to tell a very, I guess, basic story, just to sort of illustrate my point. So we have a marketing team, and they've come up with the most amazing new concept for a campaign. And they're really excited. They've put it all together. They've done their Figma. They've gathered all their assets, and they're all good to go. And then what happens is they walk into the dev office, and they ask the question, how long is that going to be? And he says 2 weeks, which is kind of like the standard story. Most dev teams whatever the request is, it will be 2 weeks. Doesn't matter how big it is, whether or not it's a button or whether or not it's like a full page, it's always that common 2-week answer. Because again, he's got to understand the design, he's got to give us feedback on the design. He might not have even been involved in the design process, or she, it doesn't matter, or they may not have been there. And they don't quite understand why they can move so quick, but the dev team can't. He might be an amazing developer, but he's got to go through his cycles, and he's got to analyze and cut the code and build the front end, and he's got to put it through testing, and then he's got to release. So they just give up and they turn to another product, and they go, what works for us that we can understand? And they go Wix, or they go whatever, and they build something out in some other platform to release their campaign. And that's a pretty crappy experience. It's now sort of disjointed, and they're off doing their own thing. So this has actually happened to us with a couple of our clients, where they go off and they use, page builders or campaign builders, or they, build out some sort of landing experience, and they'll go to something else because it just takes too long to get it through the development process. So why does this happen? It was exactly what I just said. It just takes too long. So how do others solve this? Like, there's other CMSs in the market that, in my opinion, enable you to sort of maybe move a little bit quicker. And we've got the WordPresses and the Webflows and the Squarespaces and the HubSpot CMSs in the works. And the one thing that's common about all of these is that they have a visual template builder where it can be very dangerous. Your teams can go off on tangents, and they can do whatever they want. They can change colors and stuff. I mean, HubSpot's probably a little bit more locked down than most of them, but it becomes very easy to sort of get some not so ideal results. And I mean, these products, they've all got their place, and some teams love them, but we love Umbraco, so we want to stay with Umbraco. So what all of those things come with, though, is they come with trade-offs. So poor governance. They're not got a clear understanding of brand, or the implementation of brand sometimes can go a little bit askew because it doesn't quite work, or they haven't been as accurate as they should be. So they also have limited workflow in terms of what happens with that thing if you've built it in a web browser as opposed to in a properly governed pipeline where everything is maintained and in control. Then they may have scalability issues in terms of it could get out of control in terms of what they're doing in those environments, or they just don't work based on the type of client they are, especially if they decide to spin up a WordPress site and don't actually know what they're doing. Sorry, I'll go back. There's the risk of fragmentation as well. You just end up with all sorts of weird and wacky design ideas. And there's lack of extensibility, in terms of connection into some of the other things that you may have already built into that amazing solution that you built in Umbraco originally. So what about Umbraco? Where does this sort of sit in this space at the moment? And okay, we've got block lists and we've got block grid. Now these are great, but the problem with them is that you need to have already thought of all the componentry you need before you release your site. Even though you can rearrange your page and have different components where you need them, you've got this very locked-in environment where you can't bend the rules a little bit, or you can't do some of the things you want to do. And more often than not, your client will be coming back to you to say, oh, we need another component to do this and this because we've got this campaign coming up. And so it's great, but it still needs to go through all of those dev cycles to get something in the wild. So it's good for editors, but requires the devs to set things up first. So it's hard to respond to new needs in short notice. So what about USkinned? Okay, it can do some cool things, and you've got the design surfaces and that, but it's really opinionated, and not all Umbraco devs like it because it's got its way of doing things, and again, still comes with trade-offs. Again, it comes down to the componentry they've got in the box and the things that you can do with their platform. It still doesn't quite meet the mark in terms of what our marketing team wants to do. So, how can we fix this? I'm just going to take a drink. So, we need to figure out how to bring our designers a little bit closer to our developers. And this is where an emerging concept, it's been around maybe a few years, but it's called a visual CMS. And it's a little bit like I guess like a digital asset management system, but its main goal is to manage componentry and templates and things that are for the delivery of the visual side of CMS, of the website, sorry. And so there's one in particular that I'm going to sort of demonstrate this idea to you today. It's called Plasmic. And Plasmic basically is one of these visual CMSs, and it essentially is only really concerned with the delivery of, as I said, the templates and components. It allows you to sort of build out component libraries and other things that you use on your website. And it's got all these different front-end frameworks, so it works really, really well in a headless environment. And so because Umbraco has this headless capability, we can combine Umbraco and Plasmic together to produce a result that kind of enables us to do this, build a bridge, where the developer can allow the designer to do their thing, and the designer can do their thing inside of Plasmic, and for it to all connect together. So we've got this set up here where we've got, well, this is the one that I'm going to be using today. So we've got Umbraco in a headless configuration with Next.js, and then we've got Figma and Plasmic. So why is Figma in this picture? Because that's kind of where designers or your web designers are working. And there's a really cool feature of Plasmic that actually enables you to sort of copy and paste templates directly into Plasmic. It's a bit fiddly, but it works. It allows you to get pretty far pretty quick. But the thing here is that these are tools that your designers and your marketing teams can potentially work out and use because they're familiar to them. They've got a familiar interface, whereas they can't write code, and so they can't jump into the back office of your site and build out the code to do the things that they need to do. But they can use Umbraco, and they can create things in Umbraco. And so what I'm going to show you is like what my view is of where we might be headed in terms of web development with front-end and designers and our back-end devs. So I am going to spend a little bit of time giving you this very contrived demo. It's very simple, but it sort of explains the concepts, and it can sort of give you a taste of what is potentially possible and what could be done in, say, a large organization that does have these fast-moving marketing teams, and they've got dev teams, but they want to give some flexibility to those teams. Oh, gone too far. So let's jump into my browser here. So what I'm going to show you is we've got this website. Very, very crappy website. Don't judge me. I mean, it's not crappy because it's actually Ken Jakobsen's Next.js blog for Umbraco. It's based on his template demo. But you'll notice that I've got like a promo sitting at the top here. It looks pretty trash. But the point is, ignore that. Okay, let's just say that our designers did a really good job, and this is what they've got on the front page of the website, and it looks way better than that. Now, this first example I'm going to show you is we want to be able to control this hero space entirely without needing to go and write any code to do it. So they need to advertise that there is a famous musician. His name is Ole Erling, who is really famous here in Denmark. Well, but he's dead now. But he used to come and play the organ at Codegarden. And so what I'm going to show you is our designers have come up with this, very basic sort of promo header in Figma where they've got some text and it's all responsive. So it kind of like all shifts around. So they're all good to go. They've now done a handoff to the marketing team they've done a handoff to somebody who knows how to run Plasmix. So again, it's just another tool. They might be the one that's doing it themselves. So Plasmix, as I said, is a visual CMS. So if we jump into Plasmix, just for the sake of time and also because it's a little bit fiddly, I can, through the plugin, copy and paste this in, and that's how I got started with this. We're able to set up this banner, and you'll notice that it's got a couple different variants. We've got a desktop variant and we've got a mobile variant. So we're currently mobile first, and if we come in here, you'll see that we've got some responsive breakpoints set up where we're basically saying desktop up. And if I jump on these, I have also set them all up so they're all responsive in here too. So there's a little bit of setup in here, but if you look on the side here, there's like design tools, and they're quite familiar to somebody who's used to Figma or any one of those visual CMS platforms like Webflow or etc. So there's the standard sort of stuff, backgrounds, borders, etc. And we're able to set this up as a component. So in Plasmix, I've got a few components in here, and you'll notice there's a promo component. This is the one that's currently live on the website. Okay, so this is the one that's there. So if I show you something in here, I can say, design what you love, and I say right now. And if I jump back to the site and refresh this, it's going to be a little broken looking. Oh, whoops, let's just click out of it first. Should be there. Yes, okay. So I've done the edit in Plasmix, and I'm currently in a preview mode. So Plasmix also has like a publishing mode as well. So it doesn't show up until it's published, but because I'm in this preview mode, it's good for this sort of demonstration. But it kind of shows you can move quite quick. So they might go, oh, this is pushing the stuff down the page a little bit. We need that to be a little bit wider. I can jump into here and go to the design of this text, and I can say, oh no, that's the margin. I need to click on the text. Go to there, and I can shift this out and refresh a couple of times, and it will be there. There we go. So it enables them to sort of make edits really quickly. Now, as I said, Ole Erling's coming to town, and they need to advertise this. So they've already set up the promo in here. It's just a component. Now, this example here, they're not going to be setting up new properties in the CMS to update this because they're not going to have to update the content. But what they are going to need to do is connect it to the page. And we've got a section in our template that allows you to load this component at the top of the page. So I'll just show you. We'll just log into the CMS with a super secret password and username. And we'll come to the home page. And if I was to set this up for real, Plasmix's got an API and it allows you to actually connect in and grab all these components. I would have built a property editor and it would be able to go and do all of that sort of stuff. But for the moment, I'm just using aliases that are on these items. So I can go Ole promo. You can see I've done this before. And we'll save and publish this. And what it will do, if we go back to the page again and refresh, we've now got our Ole Erling promo banner, and we'll just get rid of that. And you can see it's all responsive. because it's based on the breakpoints and things that are in Plasmic. So, and this is in images, by the way. This is actually code, and I didn't set it up in Plasmic, but you can actually specify what the tags are. So at the moment it's just a div, but you can actually put in the semantic markup and actually make it like an H1 and have the hierarchy correct. But it's all, actually we can just do that now. So if I click on this text here and go to the tag. Look, maybe I won't do it. Settings, actually, tag, here it is. So we can go H, we'll set that as the H1. And then if I refresh this now, as I said, I'm in a preview mode. If I inspect this, it's an H1 now. So you can set it all up and you can get it all right. So it's not like they're going to, as long as the person who's doing it isn't, has a sort of simple understanding of the hierarchy of at least, titles and paragraphs and those sort of things, they should be able to put it together. Okay, so that's that, but the design team comes back and they say, we need to add some color. So again, it's just one of those things where we can click in on the item, we can come to design in here, and we can say, let's set it to blue. And then, they've got the control to do what they need to do and sort of change it up whenever they want to. So this enables them to move really quick. So this is just a component. And so I'll show you how that's sort of built in for the developers in the room. So in this Next.js app, all we've got this dynamic Plasmic component, which essentially picks up the alias of that component, and through the keys and the API, it's going off to Plasmic, picking it up. But because Next.js is a front-end framework, it kind of brings it down, and then it becomes a static version of it anyway. So it's kind of, it's not always going off to Plasmic to get it. It's only when I'm refreshing it and sort of killing the caches on it. But yeah, so it's pretty simple. So you could build out a whole bunch of components into your framework. This could be in a block list or whatever, and they can just drop these in and have parts of the page that they can control. Now, I want to show you a slightly different example. So they've got they're releasing a new product. And so they want to build out a landing page. And so we've got this landing pages section in our site. We've got this page called Umbraco Spritz. Now, this is, again, as I said, it's a very sort of basic demo, but this is just to sort of show you the tokenization or how to sort of pass props in, because essentially, if you're using a front-end framework like Next, you just get your props into the components, and the components will render your content. So let's go to the site. So I've got this page set up. It's got a route. It's Umbraco Spritz, and in the code, we've got a landing page route set up in my pages folder. And you can see here it's got a catch-all on it. But this is a special type of page. It's a Plasmic catch-all. And what it does is it renders an entire template that is set up, or an entire page that's set up in Plasmic. So if we jump back into Plasmic, and we'll jump onto that page, which is set up here. Okay, so this is one of the demo templates, but it serves the purposes of this. So we've got a mobile version, we've got a desktop version. It's got a page title and some summary text, etc. Now, what we can do inside of Plasmic is we can tell it which things are dynamic and which things can be updated from a prop that's been passed into the page. So if we click on this text here, click on the template, we've got this little cog here. It allows me to see what props are set up. So you can see we've got a title, and I've currently got a summary. So that's to control, this title space here and this summary here. Now, I need to create a new one because I also want to control this text here. So we'll create a prop, and I'll name that intro. And we can set some default values if we want it to fall back if it's not been passed in, but I'm not going to bother. And so that prop is now in, let's put it in here. I'll just say intro. It's now in the Plasmic setup. Now, the way that I have this set up for Umbraco is, so if I go to this page on the site, go / landing pages, Umbraco Spritz, this one here. Okay, you can see that the title and the summary aren't populating, and we've got this like lorem ipsum text here. Now, I've created the prop, and I'm going to connect this all up, but if we jump back into the CMS, I've got this like content tokens block list in my site. This is an Umbraco 13 site, but it would be the same on the newer versions as well. But I've created two types of token. One is just a simple like text string token, but you can see here I've got this token key. This matches up to a token key that I've set up in Plasmic, and so I can just put in here from my notes. Let's just grab this, copy this, and we'll paste that in here, and we'll submit that, and the summary, just so we've got something interesting. And as I said, this is a very simple demonstration, but like if you had the time and the inclination, you can go all the way and have like images and everything like that. It's just, I haven't for this demo, but if we save and publish those and come back to the page, if we look at those fields, you can see here that they've got the content key has been set to a prop. And so we can do the same thing for our intro down here as well. So we just need to set this up with a dynamic value, and I will select the intro, and we'll save this, and it's got a lorem ipsum fallback, but I'll just make it intro so you can see what's going on. And so it's just changed the intro there. Okay, and then if we come back to the page, I haven't got the intro in the CMS, but at least these two things are populating from the CMS, and then we can just like add in our intro one as well. So it's pretty straightforward. And pick up our text here. I'll paste that one in there. Okay. Now, Campari used to be the drink of choice at Umbraco, so that's the reason why I've used it. And it's awful. I hate Campari. Okay, so we've updated those values, and as I said, I've also populated that property in here, so it knows that it's going to be getting a prop called intro. And so if I refresh, that's been updated, which is all good. And then the design team comes back and goes, "That's the wrong product. We need to update the image." And so they can still jump in here and replace their images for something that is a bit more suitable. So. And essentially, they are then able to be in control of their experience. So that's kind of all I have to show today. I mean, we've got a bit of time, but I showed this in Australia, and the room was like, have front-enders lost their jobs? No, they haven't, because the thing is this can't do anything really super dynamic. I mean, you can get quite far, but the thing is as well, you can actually bring your front-end components that you've built in Next.js, etc., into Plasmic as well. So you can sort of bring it all together and tie it all up. So Plasmic has the ability to build out entire like component library. So if we look at the buttons in here, it would look familiar to somebody who is used to Figma. So you can have all your interactions, your rollovers, all of those sort of things all set up in here. And it's I guess where I see this is, if anyone was at the Business Summit, they talked about, Forrester did this amazing talk on where they see the next phase of web development and CMSs, and it's this. It's basically bringing in this ability to not need to have all those dev cycles. The devs are still involved, but they're now concentrating on the things that actually matter, rather than sort of doing crappy banners and landing pages and stuff like that. They're able to focus on the things that make money for them. Yeah, it's an interesting space, and I think it's going to grow. Like at the moment, there is Plasmic Builder, they also have one, but Plasmic has a CMS itself, but it's CMS agnostic, so it doesn't care which CMS you bring to the party, where a lot of the other visual builders, they kind of want you to use their CMS as opposed to other people's one. But yeah, Builder allows you to do that with their one as well, but they kind of try to force you into their mold. But that is all from me. I'm happy to answer questions and talk a little bit. We've got some time. Yeah, it was exactly how long it was at UW as well. So thank you so much, and I hope I haven't scared you too much. Thank you.